You are listening to the one and only Visionaries Wrestling Network, envisioning excellence and providing your perfect podcast experience. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to View from the Top Rope, where we discuss anything and everything about the wild and wacky world of professional wrestling, podcasting, pop culture, Marvel movies, comic books, video games, food, our wacky lives, and anything else that happens to pop up in your great questions. I am Chad, coming to you from Zeus's Treehouse, and before I can tell you who I'm joined by, we have to play the world famous and everyone's favorite game show, What's the Password? And we only have one contestant this week, and he's sitting, waiting patiently, seeing if he's going to be given entrance, and it is Diesel.
Right before you hit record, a little conversation with Zeus while you're on the deck over there, and he told me the password is, "You're sitting in my chair, man."
Ooh, that is interesting. He does love the chair I'm currently sitting in, but I don't know if he'd use that for a password. We'll have to check, though. Judges! Nailed it once again. One of these weeks you're going to get it wrong. But I will now introduce my co-host for the week. As I said, he's to my left. It's Diesel.
Highly doubtful, Chad. I'm never going to get it wrong.
I don't know. The judges might get harder one of these days.
I doubt it.
I definitely doubt it as well. But let's just crack right along into our first segment, which is, how's your week been, buddy?
My week's been pretty good. I made some banana bread last week. It turned out to be delicious.
Ooh, banana bread.
Banana nut bread. I'm going to try to make some zucchini bread tomorrow. I'm going to get into some baking. I like to bake. It's weird. But you mix everything together and you throw it in the oven and comes out some bread. It's awesome.
You hope for the best.
Yeah. And then went to the farmer's market on the square in Madison on Saturday. Tried some ghost pepper cheese. It's pretty good.
Sounds delicious.
Got some Stella's hot and spicy bread. That's good. Hot and spicy cheesy bread. Have you ever had it?
No, I haven't. You were asking me about this, I don't know, like a week or two ago.
You should try it sometime. If you ever go to the farmer's market on State Street or on the square in Madison, that should be the first place you go because it's really good.
I do love me some bread. I love spicy, and I love cheesy.
It's real
so
cheesy.
All of these things sound amazing.
Yeah, I watched the movie Always Be My Maybe on Netflix with Ali Wong and Randall Park. And yeah, it was a good one. Highly recommend it. And that's really about it. Bowled a 450 last night. Bowling.
Over 3 games, he's saying.
Yeah, my total pinfall is 450, which is all right for me.
I just wanted to make sure people didn't think we bowled the Amish way, where we just had extra frames, and we just were like, no, we bowled 15 frames, not 10. But my week's been good. Since we've last chatted on this podcast, I went and saw Men in Black International with Allison. It was good. It was another Men in Black movie. I mean, if you like the other Men in Black movies, you're going to enjoy it. And Chris Hemsworth is an absolute joy in it. It was a lot of fun. Nothing shocking or surprising. I called all of the twists and everything like that within the first 5 minutes of the movie, but that's okay. I still enjoyed the hell out of the movie. It was a lot of fun to watch. So check that one out if you got a little free time on your hands and you want to go to the movies. Let's see, what else have I done this week? Not much. Still been playing a lot of Apex, Final Fantasy 12, and Trials Rising. I went on a real big Trials Rising binge this week. Just that game is so addictive. If you've never played that game, it is a motorcycle game that's really more about physics than it is motorcycling. It's about braking and buddy hopping and using your acceleration at just the right moment. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the most infuriating fun games ever, because you know you can do it. It's just, can you do it? But I love it. Went on a huge binge of that this weekend. Caught up on Ring of Honor, MLW. I'm all caught up on New Japan, and Progress is my next stop. So, just had a pretty normal week for Chad. But we will move on to our next segment, which is T-shirt time. And I ask the same question every week, but I'll ask it one more time, at least. What you wearing this week, buddy?
This week I decided to pull a Chad and not wear a wrestling t-shirt. I don't know. WWE is sour to me right now, so I'm not going to wear any of my WWE shirts. And I don't know, just felt like going with my classic Batman shirt, the yellow bat symbol, but made up in Batman words. Like, you got some good ones on here, like Billionaire, Dark Knight, got like all the villains.
I can't remember what those are called. Like a crypto picture?
Maybe.
Something like that, where the picture is made up of words.
My favorite one
Helps
is,
out high flyers, you know.
My favorite one is Full On Rapist. I mean, Philanthropist.
Great joke right there, Diesel.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Great show. Check it out.
Didn't watch that one. Check that one out, too. I actually wore a wrestling t-shirt this week, and I'm rocking one of my absolute favorites. And it's one of the simplest t-shirts of all time, but I wear it all the time for when I'm working and bartending and things like that. It is my Zack Sabre Jr. shirt, Be Kind to Animals, or I'll armbar you. And I love the looks that people give me because they read my shirt and then they give me an odd look and I just always just nod. Just like, yeah, I will. You better be kind to animals or I will armbar you. I've called the cops on people before because they left their dog out in the car. And they were my table while I was serving them. So yeah, I screwed myself out of a tip because they left their dog in the car. And I gave them a full-on chance to then just leave, but they wouldn't. So I called the police because I do not F around when you try and mess with animals. I will armbar you. And you can get this shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. Get yourself one. It's a great t-shirt. But that will wrap up T-shirt time. Let us move on to our next segment. This is where you get all the happenings and goings-ons about all of your favorite podcasts, about everything from professional wrestling to F1 racing to our podcast, to things about people's lives, to why people love podcasting, and everything else. It is time for Visionaries Wrestling Network News. And as always, Diesel is the one who kicked us off with the news. And before he does, as always, I'd just like to thank all of you for listening to the Visionaries Wrestling Network News. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing on your favorite podcasting platform so we can reach more and more people. The Visionaries Wrestling Network, envisioning excellence and providing your perfect podcasting experience.
Okay, this week from the Magnificent Matt Willis at the Mad Attack UK, the Mad Attack Predictions podcast for WWE Stomping Grounds, and Matt is joined by another first-time Mad Attacker, Mike Baker. Can Matt get back to his winning ways against a rookie? Find out this Friday.
I keep forgetting Stomping Grounds is this weekend, and I just watched Raw and SmackDown today. No offense.
Chris Talks Games returns this Saturday with Chris being rejoined by Matt and finally joined by Alex, both from fellow VWN shows, the gaming podcast of Matt and Alex, and the three Brits will be discussing in much greater depth the fallout from E3. You can follow Chris at Chris Lewis 37. Enough to say about E3?
It was great, and you can hear all of my, not full reactions, but most of my reactions on the actual gaming podcast with Matt and Alex, as I was a guest host this past week.
And for motivated, yeah, good job, Chad. Motivated and confident.
Thanks.
I don't know, I can only see the motivated and confident, and then I want to go to Dash Kirkby. At Dash Kirkby on Twitter. 5 rounds, UFC returns with Fight Night 154 with Moy Carno versus Chan Sung Jung. Nope, it's Chan Sung Young as the main event.
Okay. Those are some great names, and once again, as always, I do love watching or listening to you butcher them.
Moy Carno.
Sounds close.
He's phonetics, man. I'm reading what he wrote for me.
I know what you're reading, what he wrote for you. But you still don't read it right half the time.
Boy Carnival. While we watch, Megs recently sat down with Clive from the Ricky and Clive Wrestling podcast about his love of Brit wrestling, podcasting, and the bad influence Ricky has on him.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
That is all we got for Motivated and Confident Megs. What do you have, Chad?
Give me 1 second. Can you fill some time? I'm actually logging into my email because don't have it on my tablet. I didn't know that. So fill some time, Diesel.
Well, what did you do before?
What?
What did you do in weeks past? Did you use the tablet?
I don't usually have to log into my email for any portion of my news. It's usually on my Twitter feed.
Oh, why do you have to log into your email?
Because someone sent their news in email form.
Oh,
So,
wonder if you could have been a dick and did that. Those are Chad's words, not mine.
I didn't say anything. I did not say a word.
Okay, we'll go with that.
But we will start with...
How did I do in filling time?
Oh, so good, Diesel. As always, your filling time skills know no bounds and often make me look like a jerk. So, it's just good stuff.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Just good stuff. MGB Wrestling Podcast news for the week. No Mason on MGB this week, but Graham and Jackson reviewed Crab Wrestling's Vice Effects, which came out this past Monday. The MGB team are on a wrestling road trip this weekend, so time permitting, we'll review the UCW event they're going to see in Orange, Virginia for the normal Monday release. Alright, for the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, Good Cop, Bad Cop news is Good Cop Matt and Bad Cop Graham are recording a day later so they can bring you the good and bad of all WWE products and any other promotions that caught their eye this week. There will of course be the usual open agenda and Devil's Advocate, as well as a new game called Bad Cop Karaoke that Matt does not know about yet. I do not have any news for the Cade and Uncaged Wrestling Podcast or the Powerbomb Girls. Make sure you check out their entire back catalog on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. It is time for View from the Top Rope news. Diesel, what you got?
Well, unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to make Frozen Tundra Wrestling this Saturday. But doesn't mean you can't go. If you're available on Saturday at 7 o'clock, and you can head to Rubicon, Wisconsin at the Ranch Grub and Pub. And check out a great wrestling show, and then you can tell us how it is, because unfortunately we have to miss it.
Why do we have to miss it, Diesel?
Because it's my sister's 21st birthday party, and I can't miss that. And I feel bad that I have to miss Frozen Tundra, but me and Chad can still go, but I understand. I don't like to go by myself either.
I just don't want to go by myself because, I can't drink then. Because it's a pretty far drive for me, and to go by myself, I can't drink at all because I have to drive all the way back. So I just more safely know that I should not go by myself.
So we're still going to promote it, and we're still going to give him much love.
Much love. And maybe I'll convince my fiance to go with me on Saturday. She hasn't got anything going on, so I'm not promising anything, but maybe.
And our goal is to make it to the next one.
All
so
right.
It's not like we're never going to come back. It's just not this time.
Make sure you look them up on Facebook at Frozen Tundra Wrestling. And this event is called Faction Wars. And it is at the Ranch Grub and Pub in Rubicon. Tickets still available. And it features an Ultimate Survival match, which is basically just a Survivor Series match. But you can't say that because, copyright infringement and all that kind of good stuff. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And it is for the Frozen Tundra 151 Heavyweight Championship. So make sure you check it out this Saturday, June 22nd, at 7 p.m. at the Ranch Grub and Pub in Rubicon, Wisconsin.
On July 12th at Turner Hall Ballroom in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we are going to AAW.
Destination Milwaukee.
That is what it's called. I want to say Destination X. That's a different company. It's going to be a good one. They announced this past week that it's John Morrison versus Juventud Guerrera. It's going to be Taya Valkyrie versus Jessica Havoc. Sammy Callahan's on the card. The Lucha Bros are on the card.
Mance Warner is facing Jimmy Jacobs, I want to say.
Yep, I saw that too. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome show. So, I mean, I'm sure tickets are still available.
I know front row and possibly second row are sold out, but I know there are tickets available. So get your butts on the internet and get yourself some tickets and join us there.
It's going to be a good one. Lucha Bros.
Hell yeah.
And then, lastly, on July 28th, going to the world famous La Pica Lounge, number 3. And what is this one called?
This next one...
It's like a 4th of July themed one.
Man, this is supposed to be your part of the segment.
Yeah, well, it should.
I can't remember right
This
now.
was originally supposed to be your part of the segment, and you just pawned it off on me, so...
Darn right I did. That's what I do as the director.
So, yeah, well, just come to the La Pica Lounge number 3 on July 28th and see a great wrestling show.
Schlack will be there, I'm pretty sure.
Shaq will be there, and so will Marcus Train.
The Snowman, Marcus Crane.
And so will Orin Veidt. And
The Dark Prophet.
so will Dis. Dis will have a match against Chucky Smooth.
Yeah, it's a death match. We finally get to see Charles. It's Charles Smooth.
Whatever.
Charles.
Four corners of...
Effery.
Yeah. What else we got? We got Tyler Sullivan.
Nope, I think he got pulled from the card.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, because I saw someone replace it, but I can't remember right now. Sorry, once again, I'm on my tablet. I don't have my Facebook on this tablet.
Whatever, just get yourself to...
Look them up on Facebook at ICW Milwaukee and get yourself tickets to the show and also see the full card. And it's going to be one hell of a show. Join us there at the world famous La Pica Lounge number 3. It's going to be great. Serious. You got anything else?
What else would there be?
Always check out the YouTube where you can see our interview with with Silas Young. Make sure you check out our interview with Tyler Sullivan, which will be dropping tomorrow, because I still haven't posted it yet. Sorry. And I apologize for that. I've had some technical difficulties with it, so I'm doing a little editing, fixing around. So that will be released. And then also just check out the YouTube so you can see all of these great videos that we put out at each one of these episodes. Make sure you subscribe there. That's all I got for you from the top rope. As always, we thank you so much for listening to the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Make sure you're commenting, sharing, and subscribing on whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. I mean, we're on all of them. SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podnight, Potable, and so many more. Just look us up on the Google machine. Type in Visionaries Wrestling Network. It will dominate the first 8 pages of your search. You will find us. Listen. It'll be great. You will enjoy it. Your brain will thank you. If you'd like to join the Visionaries Wrestling Network, you can hit us up on Twitter at VizWrestleNet. Or you can just send us a sample of your podcast to our Gmail, which is visionarieswrestlingnetwork@gmail.com. That will wrap up the Visionaries Wrestling Network portion of this podcast this week. Let us move on to the time of the week when I get to say my 3 favorite words, and we head into your favorite segment where we answer all of your great questions about anything and everything that could have popped into your wild and wacky imaginations and minds. We love it. You love it. Hell, everyone loves it. But I gotta say the 3 words first, and they are, boys, hit the music.
Questions, questions, questions. We answer all your questions. Questions, questions, questions by High Flyers. We answer all your questions, 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 questions by High Flyers.
As the song just told you, it's time for the Mystery Brainbuster of the Week. And this week we're going to kick it off with Jerry, hey, Arnold, who was at Santa Jesus Guy. You know, Jerry, you always ask questions, and I feel like I always put you near the end of the show. So we're going to start it off with you this
Is he
week.
a new high flyer?
No, he's not a new high flyer. He is a loyal high flyer. But we will start with his first question, which is, what is your favorite novelty/comedy song?
This one is not a very well-known one, and it's technically comedy. It's a dark comedy song.
I actually know. Can I guess what you're going with?
Yes.
You're gonna go with "Hurt Flowers."
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm going with. Hurt Flowers. It's about death.
It is.
It's a simple reminder of something that's frequently known.
It is, and it is actually. It's not even like it's called a bonus track, but it's actually just it's because the last song on That's Gone Goodbye to the Machine, right?
Yeah.
It's the last song is like 10 minutes long on the original CD. I don't know how it is on digital download or whatever. I'm old, folks. But I remember on the original CD, you just had to let it play, and there was like a good 3-minute chunk of just empty air. And then it finally would start playing Flowers. If you haven't heard the song, look it up. Hurt is one of the best bands ever. Like, just from top to bottom. Every one of their songs is great. So, just look up Hurt and fall in love. But Flowers is a great comedy song. I'm going to take a much more traditional route because I have loved, Weird Al Yankovic since I was a kid. I've seen Weird Al twice in concert. I almost went a third time. I just didn't pull the trigger on the tickets at the last second, but I've seen him twice in concert. Love Weird Al. And his best comedy song is one of my original favorites. And it has to be The Night Santa Went Crazy. The night Santa went crazy. The night Santa went nuts. And I think it also stems from the fact that I hate Christmas music so much. So the fact that it's riffing on Christmas music in general just makes me love it all the more. And it's so dark and graphic. And I hate Christmas music, but I love that Christmas song. Or we could also go with the Blink-182 song, Happy Holidays. You B-word.
You can say bastard.
Oh, I guess I can say bastard. I'm allowed to say bastard. I could have said bitch, too. I don't know why I censored myself right there.
I don't know either.
Happy Holidays, You Bastard is a great song by Blink-182. I can't sing any of the lyrics from it. No. It gets real dark. It gets real dark.
His grandpa eats 7 effing hot dogs.
And it's Christmas Eve and he's only wrapped so many presents. So, it's a great song. That's another great comedy one. Check it out. Let us move on to our second question from Jerry. Hey, Arnold, which is, what is the dumbest / funniest thing you have seen an animal / pet do?
I don't know. My cat's crazy. I like to come up from behind him and scare him because he'll jump 8 feet in the air, and it just makes me laugh every time.
Oh no, that's always scaring a cat's always a good time. I don't like the videos when people put the a pickle or a cucumber near a cat because I think it's a snake and the cat freaks out. Because that's really mean because that's initializing their fear or flight mechanism. So I don't really like those videos. The funniest thing I've ever seen an animal do, though, I mean, honestly, I love Zeus. He does some of the dumbest and funniest things ever. So my favorite Zeus thing is when he drops any of his toys. If he's sitting on the couch, he drops them slightly off the couch and they fall on the floor. Instead of just hopping down like a normal dog and getting them, he will just sit there and stare at it and then just bounce on his front paws and just get progressively more hyper about somebody getting his toy for him, even though he can get it for himself in 1 second. But he'll just bounce there for minutes on end. Diesel knows. He's seen him do it many times.
I have. This crazy dog.
Zeus is out of his mind. And also just the zoomies. And I know most dogs get the zoomies. And if you don't, your dog doesn't get the zoomies. It's okay. I'm sure your dog's still fine. But the zoomies refer to when your dog, for no apparent reason, just gets a random burst of energy and decides to run around the house or a space you're in at maximum speed for no apparent reason. And we live in a, tri-level quasi. It's more of a bi-level, but we do have 2 sets of stairs. And when Zeus decides to go into his zoomies, he will run up and down all 3 sets of stairs like a bolt of black lightning who is a 40-pound cannonball that will slam into your leg at maximum speed, and it feels like your leg is going to shatter. So basically Zeus. Anything my dog does. It's the greatest. I love him. He's a little shithead, but I love him. All right, let's move on to our third and final question from Jerry. Hey, Arnold, which is Toy Story 4, yay or nay?
Yay.
Obviously, yay. I actually wish JR was here for this one, to be honest. I saw Toy Story 3 with JR, and spoiler alert, folks, he cried in the theater, and we had to sit in the theater for an extra 5 minutes so that he could not be bawling when we walked out. True story. And he's not here to tell me not to tell the story, so boom, folks. True facts.
I went and saw Toy Story 3 in theaters too, and I didn't cry, but I felt like crying. That was a really emotional movie at the end. It was a good one, and I love Toy Story. I love 1 and 2 as well.
I love them all.
Yeah, I can't wait for 4.
Pixar can really do no wrong. Besides the young dinosaur, the good dinosaur, whatever that one was, it wasn't very good. Besides that one, all the rest of the Pixar movies, all the time. Oh, and the Cars series. I don't really dig the Cars series.
I like the Cars series.
I know you do that, but I'm just not a personal fan.
I never saw anyone besides the first one, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Just not a fan of the Cars series. But in general, Pixar is the shit. Up is one of the greatest movies of all time. Also one of the saddest movies of all time. If you don't shed a tear in the first, 5 minutes of that movie, do you even have a soul? Are you a heartless bastard? You should probably get yourself checked out. Just saying, throwing it out there. All right, but on that note, let us thank Jerry Hey Arnold, who was at Santa Jesus Guy. Oh, excuse me, folks, sorry. For all 3 of those great questions, let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be the Why We Watch Pod, who is at Why We Watch Pod. And the question this week from them is, with Chad Gable moving to 205 Live, what other main roster wrestlers could help boost the appeal of the Cruiserweight division?
Ricochet?
Yeah. I'm going to say some unpopular things here in a moment,
Yeah.
so...
Go ahead.
The people who should be moved to 205 Live, if, and this is only if, the WWE is 100% committed to making this division a real thing, especially after SmackDown moves to being on Friday nights, because then I don't really know when they're even going to be filming 205 Live. So we're coming to the point where if 205 Live is still going to be a thing, we're going to figure it out very soon, because it might just stop. Are they going to film it on Fridays and then does it just come out the next Tuesday? We don't even have any idea what the schedule is for it yet. So, but if they are going to go 100% all in on 205 Live, Finn Balor, Andrade, Ricochet, and Adam Cole all need to go to 205 Live. You could literally make 205 Live the NXT of the actual WWE branded products, if you will, where they are going to, which they already are doing, which this is what pisses me off about everyone who hates on everything that WWE does. 205 Live tells the most concise storylines, great matches, features everyone in an hour-long product each and every week. No one watches it. No one at all flipping watches it. And it pisses me off to no end. And I don't understand. It's everything that you ask for as a pissed off internet wrestling fan, but you don't watch it. So, I say that we could add these 4 big names and it might help, but I think at this point, I think you have to just completely rebrand the entire thing and start afresh. You don't have to, have completely different talent or anything like that, but I'm saying change all of the branding of the product. It's not 205 Live anymore. It's, we're going to call it Sunday Night Heat. Screw it. If we're going to tape SmackDown on Fridays, we're going to put 205 Live on Sunday nights, throw it on the WWE Network. Ain't nothing else going on Sunday nights right now. And we're just going to have a little fun little time. You can try and balance it out with when, Sunday football is in the, little interim. And you can get the American crowd there, because there is a long little break between those games where I don't want to watch the highlights 100 times. Put 205 Live on then and promote the shit out of it. You're going to have the Fox people behind you, so make them work for you. Wow, I went on a real little tie right here. This has been Chad's soapbox moment about 205 Live, because I really do love 205 Live, and I hate how it is treated by the internet wrestling community and everyone else. Pisses me off to no end. Sorry. All right, but that was my long, convoluted answer about 205 Live. Let us thank the Why We Watch Pod. Who is that? Why We Watch Pod. And make sure you check out their wonderful podcast each and every Wednesday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network, where they interview podcasters and wrestling fans and talk to them about why they love podcasting and wrestling in general, and just why they love everything. It's a great little podcast. Check it out each and every Wednesday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let's go with Broken But Glorious. Who is that? BBG W Pod. Make sure you check out their wonderful podcast on the V2 Sports Network. Just go to their Twitter, you'll get all their great links, tons of great interviews, and tons of great content. Their question, though, this week is, book a DC versus Marvel in a King of the Ring style tournament. Oh, we had so much fun with this last time. I'm kind of excited.
I don't know if the DC guys as well.
Well, I mean, you only need 4. You only need 8 people.
Okay.
So you get 4 DC, 4 Marvel.
Batman versus Hawkeye.
Okay.
Gadgets.
Gadgets. All right. I like this first little matchup.
Let's go with Power versus Speed. Flash versus the Hulk.
Flash versus the Hulk. All right. These are great first round matchups so far. I like both of these first round matchups.
Superman versus Iron Man.
Superman versus Iron Man. Strength versus intelligence.
And what should I go with? You can do villains too, right?
Obviously, it's the Marvel vs. DC universe.
Honestly, I'm gonna go Joker. I was gonna do Thor just because.
Joker versus Thor. All right. Well, that is a very unfair matchup. All right, so who do you have winning each of these rounds here?
Obviously, Thor.
Thor over Joker. Shocker. Let's see. Batman versus Hawkeye.
Batman.
Batman over Hawkeye. Flash versus the Hulk.
Hulk.
Wow. Strength versus strength
Hulk
beats
smash.
speed. Fair enough. Okay. And then we had intelligence versus power. Superman versus Iron Man.
Unfortunately, Superman.
All right. Wow. DC. That's a clean sweep for DC, isn't it?
Not Hulk.
Oh, yep.
Hulk
won.
and Thor.
Thor won too. Yep. I guess you gave him the Joker, so he clearly should have won that match. Then we do have 2 more DC versus Marvel matchups here. So what do you got?
Thor versus Superman. Thor.
Thor beats Superman. All right.
Hammer.
With comic continuity, Superman's biggest weakness is, besides kryptonite, magic, and Thor is powered by a lot of magic. So.
And I knew that. That's why I picked it that way.
And then you have Batman versus the Flash.
Hulk.
Or Batman versus the Hulk.
We go Batman.
Batman beats the Hulk. And
Gadgets.
also in the comics, that's also happened. Batman knocked out the Hulk with a sleeping grenade. He turned back into Bruce Banner.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
The things in this brain of mine. All right, so that means in our main event, our finals of the King of the Ring, we have Batman versus Thor.
2 of my favorites.
He's wearing a Batman t-shirt right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, you forgot you were wearing a Batman t-shirt, didn't you?
I gotta go with Batman because I'm wearing the Batman t-shirt.
I know I can get you to pick Batman because of that.
I gotta go with Batman. Plus, I like Batman better than Thor. I do like Thor a lot.
Alright, so in your very non-grounded tournament, somehow Batman beats Thor, the God of Thunder.
It's gadgets.
It's gadgets. I mean, I could go into a long, convoluted thing how Batman could turn him into his human side, but that's not in the actual MCU movies, so I'm not going to bore you with those details right now. My Marvel vs. DC King of the Ring tournament, I'm going to keep all of my heroes / villains from both sides grounded. I'm going to pick only people who, they might have superpowers, but they're not going to be the over-the-top superpowers of, say, a Superman or a Green Lantern or even a Flash. Just for DC guys, I'm not going to use, because I'm going to try and make a more grounded tournament here for this King of the Ring tournament. So for my DC people, I will have Chitara. I will have, I'm going to go with Green Arrow. I will go with Batman, and I will take the Red Hood, who is Jason Todd, otherwise known as the former Robin, who the Joker killed at one point. All right, those are my DC guys. For my Marvel players, I will take, I really wanted to use Spider-Man, but he breaks my rule of not having too many superpowers, because Spider-Man is basically unbeatable with his spider sense. If you don't realize that, folks, the spider sense is one of the most omnipotent abilities ever. To be able to sense danger before it happens is like literally life-changing. So I'm not going to pick Spider-Man because he's unbeatable. So I will take, screw it. I mean, I'm gonna take some unbeatable people. I'm gonna take Deadpool, who is basically unbeatable, but he's kind of dumb at points. So Deadpool, Luke Cage, Daredevil, and Bullseye will be my 4 from Marvel. In my first round matchup, I will have Bullseye taking on the Green Arrow. I will have Daredevil taking on, who from DC should he take on? Daredevil should take on the Red Hood. I will have Batman take on Luke Cage. And I will have Deadpool then take on, who did I miss? Who did I say yet? Oh, Chitara. I like these matchups, actually. All right, so first in my matchup between Chitara and Deadpool, Deadpool will actually end up losing to Chitara because Chitara will slice off both of his arms and legs with her claws. And without the use of his arms and legs, he can't kick out of 3. So he loses to Chitara because he's just a torso at that point. And he hasn't regrown his arms and legs. It's unfortunate for Deadpool. Chitara moves on. A matchup between Deadpool and, or not Deadpool, Bullseye and Green Arrow. I am going to take Bullseye over Green Arrow because Bullseye can throw literally anything and make it a deadly weapon, while only Green Arrow can only shoot arrows. I mean, it's cool, some trick arrows and everything like that, but it's not going to work out. So Bullseye will conquer. In my Batman versus Luke Cage matchup, Batman wins because he's flipping Batman. He's Batman. Batman beats Luke Cage. He's the smartest superhero. And even Luke Cage's ultimate endurance and unbreakable skin and super strength can't beat Batman. And then in my final matchup between Daredevil and, why do I keep forgetting my 4th person? Oh, Red Hood. I will take Daredevil to beat Red Hood because Daredevil's a badass and Red Hood is, while awesome, more reliant on his guns, and Daredevil's ability to hear everything will give him a serious advantage. Second round matchups, I will have Daredevil taking on Chitara. And in this matchup, Daredevil will once again succeed because Daredevil is very overpowered. But Matt Murdock's just a badass, so I'm taking Daredevil to the finals. And then in Batman versus Bullseye, I will take Batman to take Bullseye because gadgets, as Diesel said. And also, Batman is a master of every every martial art there is, and is one of the few people to ever dodge anything from Bullseye besides Daredevil, and also one of the only people to ever dodge Darkseid's Omega Beam. So in my finals, I have Daredevil taking on Batman, and in this matchup, Batman wins because he's Batman, folks, and he would figure out Daredevil's supreme weakness to hyper sounds. And just one Batarang with ultrasonic sound going out, Daredevil's powers are useless, and pow, one punch to the head. It's over. It's over. Batman wins. So, both of us pick Batman, huh?
I'm calling it.
Both of us pick Batman. All right, let us thank Broken But Glorious, who was at BBGW Pod, for that great question. As I said before, make sure you check out all their wonderful content on the V2 Sport Network. Follow their Twitter, you'll get all the links. So many great interviews and so much more great content. Well worth your time, folks. let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Darth Vapor, who was at Metal_2006. First question from Darth is, who is one wrestler that still wrestles that should have retired years ago?
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
I knew that was what you were going to say. I wasn't even at this show.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Just say that. He didn't even take a bump, and he still won the match.
Yeah, for someone who we saw that should probably hang up the boots, Tommy Dreamer. I do enjoy what he does and everything like that, but I don't think he should be wrestling anymore. He's just not. It's one of those fluidity things. I have no problems. You wrestle as long as you want. But once it starts getting herky-jerky in the ring and making just all sense of, suspension of disbelief impossible, it's time to hang it up, guys. You can still go out there and be a great manager, great talker, do other stuff, but you got to hang up the boots.
I'm going to say a name, and you're going to want to change your answer.
Okay.
Angel Armani.
Yeah. Well, I don't talk about him, so that's why I didn't say it.
You didn't even think about it.
No, because as I said, I don't talk about him. It's just boop, right out of my mind. Don't like him. Sorry, folks. He'll retire. Sorry, Angel. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. Kind of a dick to us every time. All right, let's move on to our next question from Darth Vapor, which is, after this last Saudi Arabia show, does The Undertaker stay out of the ring and stay retired?
Hopefully. I mean, he's in his 50s. He can't do what he used to be able to do. It's a safety issue now. And, I mean, it's not the best idea to pair him with another man that's in his 50s. And, it's just harder for them to carry the match.
Okay, let's be honest. Neither of us watched Super Show.
No.
Neither of us watched Super Showdown. But I did watch, the Goldberg versus Undertaker match because I had to see what happened because everyone was talking about it. And it does all stem back to Undertaker screwing up. I mean, he's the one who tombstoned Goldberg, right away and literally knocked him unconscious. I mean, he did not support Goldberg in the slightest. So, all of the issues from the match stem from that one moment. So, by chaos theory, it's Undertaker's fault that this match went as shitty as it did. So, he should stay out of the ring, in my opinion. No offense to Undertaker, once again.
It's not up to him, though.
It's not.
I don't think he wants to be wrestling.
But he took that payday, buddy.
Yeah, it's $1 million. I'd take that too. But
because he was offered a fair amount of money to go do Starcast 2, but instead he took the much larger payday to Saudi Arabia.
And his loyalty to Vince McMahon too. That's part of it. And it's true, but it is what it is. And I don't think he wants to wrestle anymore. But they kind of force his hand when you're going to offer me $1 million to wrestle for a 5-minute match with Goldberg. Okay, I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm not going to turn down $1 million. Basically, for most anything, $1 million is $1 million, folks.
5 minutes of work.
Yep, $1 million is $1 million. But yeah, I think that he should stay away.
Yeah, like I said, I force his hand.
Yep. All right, let's move on to our third and final question from Darth Vapor, which is, what are your thoughts about retired wrestlers coming back to try and wrestle in today's wrestling world?
It depends. It depends on why they retired and how long they've been retired and how old they are. Because if you retired because of injury and you're healed now, like Shawn Michaels did back in the early 2000s when he healed from his back injury, that's different. If you're still young enough and you're still able to protect yourself and protect whoever you're wrestling in the ring, then you should be able to make a comeback. But sometimes, we just talked about with The Undertaker and Goldberg, sometimes the older you get, the less you can do, and the more risk you are to yourself and to your wrestling. So it just really depends on the scenario and a whole bunch of different aspects. But I don't really have a problem with it. The wrestlers, they should be able to come back and do what they do. Even Drake the Hammer Valentine, that's how he makes his money. He should be able to wrestle as long as he wants, as long as he's keeping his opponent safe.
Yep, I completely agree with what you were just saying right there. Everyone should be allowed to wrestle as long as they want to. If they want to keep doing it, people are going to keep booking them and keep hiring them, and they should be allowed to keep wrestling. For how I feel about it, it varies from situation to situation. I sometimes enjoy a good, nostalgic style of match. Talk about, now I always forget his name. Not Ultimate Dragon either. He wrestles in New Japan right now. He is over 50.
Lee?
No.
I don't Liger.
Yes, Liger. Why do I always forget his name? Like every single time. Every single time. And man is well into his 50s and is still putting on great matches. And this is apparently his retirement year. But, I can watch him keep wrestling. And yes, his matches aren't what they used to be. They're not as high-flying, but he still puts on a great and enjoyable encounter with whoever he's wrestling against. So as long as what you're doing is still entertaining, then I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with you wrestling as long as you personally want to. Now, if I feel that it wasn't entertaining, then I probably won't enjoy it, and I will say that you should retire. But that's my opinion. My opinion alone. Your opinion's more important than my opinion in your own life. But I will voice my opinion regardless. So, it's just, throwing that out there for posterity's sake. Any other thoughts, Diesel?
Nope, I think we nailed that one.
All right. Well, let us thank Darth Vapor, who was at Metal_2006 for those great questions. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let's do one more before we take a break. We will go to the 5-round spot, who is at 5-round spot. And make sure you check out their wonderful podcast each and every Tuesday, only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. The question from 5-round spot is, crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
I like them both.
Really?
Yeah, I like them both. I don't...
Really?
It depends. It's what I'm in the mood.
You're a weird dude. Most people like one or the other.
No, I like them both.
No.
I'm a big fan of both.
No, I like one. I don't even like that one that much, but it's the only one I will eat.
You like creamy?
No. Crunchy all the way.
I like them both.
No. Yeah, I don't even really like peanut butter that much, folks. I won't lie to you.
Butter.
Don't. It's actually, I feel like, when you give peanut butter to dogs or, horses, or, and they make that weird tongue motion. That's how I feel with peanut butter in my mouth.
I love peanut butter.
I don't love it.
Both peanut butter and jelly sandwich with creamy is good. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich with chunky is good.
Has to be chunky or I'm not eating it.
If it's toast, I'd rather have creamy. If it's not a bagel, I'd rather have creamy. But if it's on a sandwich, it's different. I don't know. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for that day. I like them both.
Hey, fun fact about peanut butter, folks. It's the one and only time in life that you can use the term Jif and be correct in your pronunciation of something. At me if you want. But let us thank the 5-round spot, who is at 5-round spot for that great question. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is MGB Jackson, who is at MGB Jackson 5. And the question from Jackson is, this week I got sunglasses, a backpack, and a jean jacket for my Orange Cassidy outfit. I just need the OJ now. What brand is it? What level of pulp is it? Dad tried asking Twitter, but no one responded. I know you guys won't let me down.
It's Tropicana low pulp.
Low pulp, really?
Yeah.
See, I completely disagree with you. I think it is the generic off-brand orange juice that's like $1.99 that is maximum pulp. That's basically 50% pulp, 50% juice. Yeah, it's not good. And that's the point. Is that he doesn't need the good orange juice. He's Orange freaking Cassidy. It's the orange juice.
I do like some good orange juice, though.
I do love orange juice.
Especially in the morning.
If I had to choose my orange juice of choice, it would be Simply Orange, no pulp, which is in my fridge currently.
Quick Trip has some good orange juice. Quick Trip brand.
Yeah, you realize only people of Wisconsin know what Quick Trip is.
I know, but I'm just saying, come to Wisconsin, get their orange juice. It's pretty good.
Come to Wisconsin, and everyone in Wisconsin will talk to you about Quick Trip. It's really flippin' annoying.
But where else are you going to go?
They are everywhere.
And they got good orange juice. And they got cheap bananas and onions and bread.
This is not a Quick Trip advert. All right, let us thank MGB Jackson, who is at MGB Jackson 5. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter. And also check out the MGB Wrestling Podcast, where he sometimes features doing reviews. And also his review on YouTube each and every week of 205 Live. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be, let me see, we will go with Totally Not Dej Kirkby, who is at Brainbuster Stan. Stop changing your at, man. You're just trying to screw with me now. All right, but the question this week from Totally Not Dej Kirkby is, if WWE and AEW had a talent trade, who would you like to see traded between both companies?
Let's go with Adam Cole for Kenny Omega.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Straight up.
Yeah.
So Adam Cole goes to AEW's main event and Kenny Omega goes to NXT.
He wouldn't go to NXT. That'd be the only thing. That would be in part of the deal.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyone else you want to see traded, by the way?
The Viking Raiders.
The Viking Raider experience, evolution of awesomeness, Raiders.
Yeah. Them for...
Get their name right, man. It's a
cup
great
of coffee.
name.
Cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee? That's all that AEW has to give to them?
Yep.
That seems a little steep.
Vince likes his coffee.
It does. All right, well, since you clearly now veered off from actually answering, my number one person that I would want to see traded to AEW would be Sasha Banks. I think Sasha in AEW could do some phenomenal things. And in return, AEW will give them Kaylee Ray. Because then we can form a way better tag team between Bayley and Kaylee Ray. And they could just be the smiley, happy, hugging connection. And it'll be, the kids will flip and love it. They'll go nuts for it. We'll have 20,000 new Izzies.
We could redo the Undertaker and Kane storyline. It could be with Bayley and Kaylee Ray. I think.
Man, dude, what is wrong with your brain tonight? You were off on some weird tangents.
Think about it.
Yeah, we all thought about it, and none of us like it. All right, another.
Paige can be Paul Bearer. Yeah, it's because she's pale.
Yeah, we got it, Diesel. Okay, my next answer to this question will be, I will say I would like Roderick Strong traded to AEW because I don't think he'll ever make the main roster, and though I think he does great things for NXT, he could do so much more. And in return, I'm actually going to take MJF to WWE because I think he might be small, but like Adam Cole, I think he has an undeniable it factor, and I think he would dominate as well in WWE. So since you did two, I'll do two. So those are my answers. So let us thank Totally Not Dej Kirkby, who was at Brainbuster Stan, which is BrainBustastan. Give him a follow on Twitter. Let's move on now to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be James Willis, who is at _Davioli. The question from James is, with the U.S. ladies soccer team annihilating Thailand in the the World Cup last week, it made me wonder, what is the biggest mismatch in wrestling?
Anybody that faced the Brooklyn Brawler.
One of the greatest jobbers of all time?
Yes. Has one win against Triple H.
He only has that one ever win. I think the greatest mismatch ever in professional wrestling was... man, there's a few good ones that popped in my head. Like, I love when Hurricane was on his stint of trying to chokeslam everyone, and he would try and chokeslam the likes of Kane, Big Show, on everyone. Like, he was just trying to chokeslam, and they were some of the funniest moments. And then when we were at All In, and he chokeslammed literally everyone in the ring.
Chokeslam Punishment, Martinez, and Brian Cage.
It was one of my biggest pops I've ever had in my life, because I have always loved the Hurricane. Because not only I like Shane Helms back when he was in 3 Count in WCW, and yeah, I mean that. I liked 3 Count when the WCW was going on, because he did the Vertebreaker back then, folks. And the Vertebreaker is like the sickest move ever. And it's so great. So I've always liked Gregory Helms / Shane Helms / the Hurricane / whatever you want to call him.
You know what the biggest mismatch wrestling history was?
What?
Impact trying to do a Monday Night War with WWE. It's the truth.
That is probably the greatest answer ever. Because when Impact was like, yeah, we're gonna start a new Monday Night War, and their product
live Monday nights against Raw.
It was not a good decision. It tanked their product, and it actually almost killed the entire company.
It's the reason why they're not on Spike or Paramount now,
or whatever channel they used to be on. All right, well, let us thank the James Willis, who is at _Davioli. And of course, you can check him out on the Visionaries Wrestling Network on the What You Talking About Willis podcast that comes out, like bi-monthly, bi-weekly, whenever it comes out.
Fortnightly. No, it's the other ones. That's the gaming podcast.
Yeah, it's not fortnightly. It's not every other week.
Yeah, it's the gaming podcast.
It's been like once a month here and there. It's a fun podcast. Check it out.
Bi-fortnightly?
I don't know. All right, let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Good Guy Dave, who was at Dave Pozevsky. And Dave's first question this week is, what did you think of the very important message from Pharaoh? Did you see this?
No.
Oh my gosh, man. Come on. Keep up on your YouTube things.
Sorry.
You should be. See, Zeus is even upset with you because you didn't watch a great video of a doggo. Zeus got upset.
I'm sorry. What happened? Tell me.
All right, so Pharaoh wrote a wonderful note to Cody telling him about how much money he raised last time at the original StarCast in Chicago, and saying that he will be at StarCast 3 because he did so much for Pause for StarCast, so he will be at StarCast 3. And Cody swore a couple times in the video because it was a very eloquently wrote letter from Pharaoh. It was wonderfully written. Very impressive by Pharaoh.
Okay, so what was the question again?
What did you think of this very important message? That basically Pharaoh's going to be at StarCast 3 to once again raise money for Pause for Chicago, or Pause for, I can't think what this charity's called.
It's for a good cause, so I'm in favor of this.
I'm in favor of all of it. I love every second of it. I've watched this video like 3 times now, and that's why it's kind of idiotic that I can't tell you exactly what the charity is. But I love anything with a wonderful doggo. And Pharaoh is a wonderful doggo. So, yeah, great. Love every second of it. All right, let's move on to our second question from Good Guy Dave, which is, what charity or cause would you like seen taken up by AEW? I want them to support. I mean, if they're going to lean into this whole Pharaoh thing, then screw it. They should support the humane shelters. Like, every humane shelter around. They should run a pay-per-view or a show, whatever state or city they're in. Part of the proceeds from that show should go to their humane shelter.
I'm going to go with small Wisconsin podcast charity that was started by a group of guys that aren't us
We definitely aren't us.
And
but they're very, very like us, and they really enjoy this podcast. I like how you took this in turn. I was trying to be super nice about things, and you turned this into trying to get us money.
I couldn't think of anything else.
God, you're such
it's all about the payday, right?
such a horrible human. But once again, every humane shelter, wherever they go, they should donate part of their proceeds to that humane shelter, whatever city they're in. Because honestly, the cons don't need the money. So, do something nice every time.
Yeah, they conned everyone out of their own way.
No, once again, you're saying mean shit. I'm trying to be nice about things, and you are just... All right, let's move on to our third and final question from Good Guy Dave, which is, are wrestlers becoming too reckless? A.K.A. Ibushi and Naito's match, for example. Did you see the absolute ridiculousness that happened? Let me guess. No, I didn't.
Nope.
Cool. So one of the nastiest spots that happened in this match, I mean, it was all focused on the head and neck, because clearly it's a Naito Ibushi match. But very early in the match, they were on the apron. Naito had him set up for a German suplex on the apron, and it looked like Ibushi was going to flip out of it and land on the outside, but the way Naito threw him, he actually landed like neck and head first on the apron in a terribly gruesome fashion. And then they proceeded to have another 12 to 15 minute match after that, where everything was still focused on the head and neck. And from some reports, apparently Ibushi couldn't see colors and had some serious issues after this spot. So yes they are, because Naito and Ibushi are the top card of New Japan, and I'm not the first one to say this, so don't try and give me credit. I mean, I take credit because I thought of it as well, but I've heard a lot of other people say this as well. But when the top of the card is putting their selves on the line like that, it trickles down to everyone on the card, and they are thinking to themselves, or I don't know, I mean, just from my perspective, they would be thinking to themselves, hell, I have to do way more to get myself to that level. And the things that they were doing in that match are some career-shortening things, they look like, where I was a little taken aback by going, this is a little too much. I love professional wrestling so much, but this is an art. This is professional entertainment. It's not an actual sport. I don't want to see people hurting themselves and shortening their careers for my entertainment to that degree. Because it doesn't need to go to that degree. I mean, Naito and Ibushi can put on a hell of a match without putting on those kind of spots that make me a little uneasy on the inside. And a few of those spots in a match are fine every once in a while, but it seems to be happening all the time with the likes of Naito, Ibushi, and I feel the envelope's just going to get pushed too far, and we're going to have a serious injury, and then we're going to get the backlash. Because no one ever pays attention to professional wrestling until something really bad happens, and then when that bad thing happens, then that's all anyone ever focuses on. And that's what I'm really worried about. I'm worried about an actual broken neck or someone legitimately dying in some kind of crazy spot. And that's the light they put on professional wrestling. Once again, I'm having a soapbox night. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. I apologize, folks. I apparently want to stand on my soapbox and chat a lot.
Chad a lot.
Ayo, get it? All right, but on that note, let us thank Good Guy Dave, who is at Dave Pozeski, for all three of those great questions. Let us move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer will be Mike, who is at Real Wintry. And the question this week from Mike is, if Twitter was around when WCW was around, what moment would have blown up the Twitter the most, either for being really good or really bad? He is going with Jeff Jarrett laying down to Hogan at Bash at the Beach 2000, which is a hell of a choice. I might almost go with the actual Vince Russo tirade right after that as a bigger Twitter blow-up moment, but that's a really great choice right there, Mike. So, good choice.
The biggest Twitter moment would have been Hulk Hogan during the Outsiders and forming the NWO.
The original formation of the NWO when he was revealed to be the third mystery member.
Because nobody saw that coming. The hero Hulk Hogan turning heel on the world. People would have flipped.
I do agree with you that would be number one, but I have one that would be close to probably 1B then, because the finger poke of doom, the original, is one of the most divisive moments in all of professional wrestling. I mean, people still put out podcasts today just talking about that one moment. So that moment on Twitter, I could just see both sides of the argument, because I know that if Twitter existed back then just the way it does today, no matter what most arguments are, there's going to be people on both sides of it, and I can just feel the venom and the hatred that would be just fighting against these two sides going, oh, it was such a great wrestling moment. I mean, the finger poke of doom it was such a cool idea. And then the actual smart people going, what in the hell are you talking about, you dumb person? Okay, clearly you see what side I would be on, but I am saying that would be like just an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force would be that kind of explosion. So I think that would actually be the number one most divisive moment that ever would have happened in Twitter. For wrestling Twitter, at least. All right. Let us thank Mike, who was at Real Wintry, for that great question. Let us move on, though, to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is Ringside Rant, who is at _Ringside Rant. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter and check out his wonderful content on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. The question, though, this week from RJ is, what do you think would have happened with Bret Hart if he had stayed in WWF and not jumped to the WCW?
I don't know. It's hard to say because the landscape changed with the Montreal Screwjob. That's really when the Attitude Era really began, in my opinion. So, I mean, without that happening...
It was the creation of the Vince McMahon character. Without that, it would never have happened.
Wrestling would be so much different today. I don't know what would have happened.
That was also the death of kayfabe right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming...
That was the first time Vince came out and said, literally, Bret screwed Bret. That was the death of kayfabe.
Yeah, Bret would still probably be top guy for a couple years. Hey, when he was already the top guy in 1998, you don't think through 2001 he'd still have been the top guy?
Nope.
He wouldn't have been... Hey, what if we wouldn't have the Attitude Era? Things would have been different. He was already being pushed as the top guy. At least for the next 3 years, he would have still been a top guy.
He would have been, okay, so this is a full-on chaos theory argument that I'm about to make right here. Once again, I guess I'm going to stand on my soapbox for a second. Without the Montreal Screwjob and Bret Hart staying with WWF, he would have went on to keep feuding with Shawn Michaels, which was a fine feud. Lots of great matches. But besides with that Montreal Screwjob, people like to look back on it and go, it was really, really, really good. It was good. It wasn't great. And I know that, the Iron Man match is not great. Everyone likes to laud it as one of the greatest things that ever occurred. Really go back and watch it, folks. It's not great. It is a 60-minute slog that goes to a sudden death overtime where they could have just done the finish of the match in the 60 minutes. It just feels really forced. Once again, at me if you want. That's what I'm here for. I'll tell you what I think.
That's not Bret Hart's fault. I mean, that's the booking.
Yes, but hold on. I have my thing. So, none of these things ever happen. He doesn't go to WCW, stays in WWF, and this Bret Hart-Shawn Michaels feud continues. Shawn Michaels still one of the greatest, but without the Attitude Era starting in that situation for the WWF, the WWF loses the Monday Night Wars. Because, no offense to Bret Hart, but he represented the old WWF. He needed to leave for the true-on attitude era to begin, which was sex and violence, folks. That's what it was. Bret Hart is not sex and violence in any sense of the word. So if he would have stayed in the WWF at that time, that sex and violence wouldn't have happened because he would have been a top guy there. And WCW would have won. Because Goldberg was the hottest shit around. And the NWO. Like, I mean, you wouldn't have the things you have today. It is a chaos theory argument, but yeah, I think WCW would have won.
I mean, yeah, you don't know for sure, though, because I don't think WWF would have folded as fast as WCW did. They probably, I mean, we could still be warring today.
I mean, you realize that WCW dominated for what, 73 weeks?
83.
83 weeks. So, take Bret Hart out of that situation where, like, they would have tried, but Bret Hart would have been still one of their top guys who they're trying to push. And he didn't fit into the Attitude Era.
No, I know he didn't fit into the Attitude Era.
So if he's one of your
I'm
top
not
guys...
arguing with you in that. I'm just saying that he would still be a top guy in the WWF for at least the next 3 years.
He would.
That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't have that injury that occurred against Goldberg. Like, things would have been different. And, yeah, but WCW at the same time, their booking was starting to fall apart. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think WWF would have collapsed as fast.
I don't know, but Bret Hart was a voice in the back that became very loud. I know everyone was, but I'm saying Bret Hart was another one of those. He wouldn't have been there.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
We won't. We will not.
The Montreal Screwjob happened. And
it did. It did happen, folks. All right, but let us thank Ringside Rant, who was at _Ringside Rant, for that great question. Let us move on, though, to our next side flyer. Our next side flyer is Motivated and Confident Mags, who was at Dej Kirkby. Question from Mags this week is, with recent issues with wrestlers being verbally and physically assaulted by fans, what should be done about it? People should stop being effing dickheads. It's really that simple. I don't have a really better answer. I hate the fact that we have to police adults in this way. Like, yes, I mean, police are needed for, stopping murders and things like that. But I don't feel like in any situation we should have to police adults about being a good human being. Just infuriates me. What people should do is stop being fucking dickheads. Yeah, I said it.
okay. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, nothing else to say.
I mean, what else do you want me to say? Like, you know what's right and what's wrong. You know that you're going to this show. You know that it says, like, on your ticket that you're not supposed to put your hands on the talent. Like, you're an adult. Like, you've learned your whole life since, like, kindergarten, keep your hands and feet to yourself. You know, there's a difference between giving a high five or, like, grabbing somebody, or, you know what I mean? And, like, even though there might be a heel... Like, there's some things you can say, there's some things you can't say. Even though it's all an act, like, I don't know, it just...
As a person who chants all the time, yeah. Like, I chant all the time to try and enhance the show. Like, I'm not trying to verbally assault anyone.
Get yourself over.
Yeah, no, never. I'm just trying to enhance the show. I'm trying to, get the character over that I'm chanting for or chanting against. Literally. And I talk to Diesel all the time. You can ask him, but I go, am I that obnoxious person? Like, I don't ever want to be that person. I ask him all the time, have I been that obnoxious person? Am I that obnoxious person? Because that's not who I want to be. I go to wrestling shows to enjoy them, and I chant when I think it's proper. And I'm not trying to get myself over. I just try and chant when I think it's cool. Is that right? That sounded dumb, actually. Because I said when it's cool, it sounded like I'm trying to get myself over. Screw it. Whatever, you know how we feel. We're cool. We're cool, folks. But yeah, just stop being dickheads. Like, honestly, be just good about things. Like, why do we have to police everything so much? We shouldn't need to do this. Just be cool to each other. Alright, but let us thank Motivated and Confident Mags. You can check them out on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. What are his podcasts, Diesel? And what days do they come out?
We have Why We Watch. Comes out Wednesdays. Then we have 5 Rounds Pod. Comes out Fridays,
Nope.
Saturdays,
Nope.
Mondays,
Nope.
Tuesdays.
That is correct!
I'm gonna get it eventually.
You literally give his news each and every week.
Doesn't say when.
You're a good man, Diesel. You're a good man. All right, let's move on to our next high flyer. Our next high flyer is the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast, who is at Good Bad Wrestle. And the question this week is, with Chris Statlander versus Joey Janela at uncharted territory happening since the last episode recorded, was this the indie match of the year for 2019 so far? If not, what was? The indie match of 2019 so far was Orin Veidt taking on Nick Effin Gage this past month at ICW Milwaukee, because that was a death match for death match sake, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I didn't see the other one that was specifically asked in this question. So I'm going to go with Chad. That was an awesome match.
Man, Diesel, you're contributing a lot tonight.
I'm behind. I haven't watched wrestling as much lately. Okay, so I don't know how to answer these questions. You want me to lie? Yes, it was the greatest indie match I've ever seen in my life. There you go, Graham. Picked a good one.
Let us thank the Good Cop, Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast,
Or whoever asked the question.
who was at Good Bad Wrestle. And when's their podcast? Where can you find that, Diesel?
Find it on the Visionaries Wrestling Network, and it's on a day.
It's on Fridays each and every week on the Visionaries Wrestling Network.
It's not Chad just being a dick.
Yes, he is. All right, let's move on to our next question. Ooh, I can just be a dick again. All right, our next high flyer is Mount Rushmore Pod. Who is that? Badlands Pod. And the question is, with the G1 blocks being released, what matches stand out to you the most? All right, I'm not actually going to be a dick. Talk for a second, and I will pull up the G1 thing for you so you can just look at it. I'm going to be a nice guy right here, folks. Diesel, please fill some time and don't just sit there like an idiot.
Oh, I'm not an idiot. I'm just sitting here thinking about how I'm going to answer this question.
You don't even know what the blocks are yet, so you have no idea.
What makes you think that I don't know what the blocks are?
Do you know what the blocks are, Diesel?
I watch the news, don't I?
Yeah, you do. All right. So how
I
do you
don't know
answer
who's
this
in
question?
what block. I don't remember everybody that's in each block. But I know things. I know things.
You know things. Well, if you just know who's in each block, like, I mean, you can make out any kind of the matches because you know they'll be against each other
I
at
don't
some
know
point.
who's in what block, okay?
Okay.
I'm saying.
So how do you want to answer the question, or do you just want me to read to you who's in each block?
Sure.
Okay, so in A block, you have Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, Kenta, Ospreay, Lance Archer, Evil, Bad Luck Fale, Sonata, and Zack Sabre Jr.
Kenta versus everybody.
Kenta versus everyone, so now I'm going to give a specific one.
Well, I mean,
I'm very excited for it
Ospreay,
as well, yeah.
Zack Sabre Jr. and I mean they're all good. Like all those are dream matches. That's why I can't pick a specific one. Like I want to see him against Okada. I want to see him against Ospreay, Tanahashi. Like,
We've actually we've seen a fair amount of these matches on the Indies before he left.
So it's not New Japan though.
Correct.
Not
No,
New
I
Japan.
know. I'm not disagreeing with you. I was just saying.
That's what I want for that block. I know it's a round robin, so he's gonna face everybody.
Correct.
But I'm interested in all of his matches.
All right, Kenta is your standout from A block. All right, in B block, our participants are Juice Robinson, Shingo Takagi, who is moving up to the heavyweight division, just like Will Ospreay is. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. Then we have Tomohiro Ishii, Jeff Cobb, Toriano, Tetsuya Naito, Goto, Jay White, Moxley, and Tai Chi.
Ishii versus Cobb. Cobb versus Jay White. Cobb versus a lot of guys.
I also love a lot of Cobb's matchups in the entire B block because I think Jeff Cobb is going to be one of these standout stars of 2020. Not that he's not already a standout star in 2018, 2017, 2019, but I think 2020 will be the year that everyone goes, holy shit, is Jeff Cobb the best professional wrestler on the planet right now? Because I think he is about to ascend to some other levels.
And then I'll be like, no, that's Johnny Gargano.
I knew you were about to say that. All right, so for matchups, I am most excited to see for both blocks. My number one match I most want to see in A block is definitely Kota Ibushi versus Zack Sabre Jr. Because the two of them together in the ring make this weird kind of magic that I just love so much. Because Kota is one of the most flexible people I've ever seen, and Zack Sabre Jr. will bend a person beyond anyone's flexibility. And I just love every time they're in the ring together. And I hope they just keep putting on the magic that they always do. Also, as always, I want to see, because Kenta, as Diesel said, I want to see all of his matches, but the one I'm most excited to see again is I want to see Kenta going against Okada. I think it will be a hard-hitting affair where Kenta is going to try and reestablish his dominance of the entire, Japanese scene, that he's the new ace coming back, even though Okada is, champion. For B block, I want to see Jon Moxley taking on Jeff Cobb. I want to see that match so badly. I want to see the power style of Jeff Cobb going against the unhinged style of Johnny Moxley here now back in the Indies. I think it will be such a hell of an encounter. And also, I want to see all of Shingo's matches because he, ran through the Battle of Super Juniors without losing a match until he lost the finals to Will Ospreay. And he should have been a heavyweight the whole time. So I am excited to see how they portray this now after they let him just run through the Battle of Super Juniors. Is he going to lose a bunch of matches right away? Is he going to run through the heavyweight division? I just think it's a very interesting storyline they're going to be able to tell with Shingo, no matter which way they go. Like, is he just that good that he's going to beat everyone? I don't know. We'll see. All right. See, I was nice that time. I gave you all the information.
You were.
All right. But let us thank the Mount Rushmore Pod. Who was that? Badlands Pod. Make sure you check out their wonderful podcast only on the Brainbuster Radio. Let us move on to our next high flyer, though. Our next high flyer will be... Oh, man, I think we've gone through all the normal questions. Diesel, fill some time real quick.
Okay, I guess that means Chad's looking for questions through his Twitter. That's what I would guess. Yes, so yeah. I'm going to go home and have some sloppy joes after we're done with this, and so pretty excited about that. So I like me some sloppy joes. Like them extra sloppy.
Like, no, hey, kids like them extra sloppy. All right, well, it looks like, unless I missed someone, which if I did, I apologize as always. I am always trying to get better. I'll get better next week. But I think we're on our final high flyer this week, who is, as always, the magnificent Matt Willis, who is at the Matt Attack UK. What are his podcasts, Diesel?
His podcasts are Matt Attack, Prediction Show. You have Matt and Alex Gaming Podcast. You have Insula Gossip. You have What You Talking About, Willis. It's also associated with Chris Talks Games. I think that's all of them, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's a bunch of them. I wouldn't be surprised if I missed one.
You might have. I wasn't actually listening to you. All right.
I have them.
But the question from Matt this week is, since Mario and Sonic Olympics 2020 has been announced for next year, please replace Sonic and Mario characters with wrestlers to take part in Olympic events.
How many are we doing?
How many do you want to do? We make our own rules here. This is our show.
Okay, let's do 3.
All right, 3 each.
Okay. It's like, wait, 3 events each? How many wrestlers in these events?
I don't know, man. You're the one setting the rules, bro.
Why am I setting the rules? Why can't we set them together?
Because you're setting the rules right now. You're the one talking first.
Fine, I'm only doing one.
One wrestler, 3 events.
Because making it easier on myself.
Fair enough. So 1 wrestler for each event. It'll be your wrestler and your event.
Okay.
I will try and do different events.
400 meter.
400 meter. A nice long run.
I'm going to go with...
1,200 feet.
I'm going to go Ricochet.
Ricochet running your 1,200 meter.
I think he'd be quick.
It's 400 meter. 1,200 feet.
Yeah. Okay. Then for... I'm going to do... Shot put and discus are going to be together.
Okay.
Braun Strowman.
Ooh. Alright, fair enough.
See him whipping that discus real far.
Alright, fair enough. So
And
you've chosen 2 Americans as well. Are you just doing Americans?
no, I was just trying to figure out who would be the best at these.
I was just asking. I didn't know.
No, I didn't realize that. So, I wasn't thinking about that part. And then my last one. Let's do. Pole vaulting.
Pole vaulting?
I'm gonna go with Pac.
Pac for pole
He's
vaulting.
got a red arrow over the.
I mean, he is the man that gravity forgot. So
Exactly.
he doesn't even need the freaking pole. He doesn't even need the pole.
There you go.
You just
Get a
jump
red
it.
arrow right over
You
top.
just jump it, man. Just like a freaking gazelle, just right over the top.
See, not American.
Not American.
Didn't even try that, but
You did get one non-American on there. All right. So for my people, first of all, I am going to take for the discus. I'm taking Cesaro because Cesaro is the Swiss cyborg, and man, that dude I feel like could whip a discus. I've seen him do the spin on a 300-pound man, so I feel like he could whip a discus hundreds of meters.
actually, both of us probably should have went with Kofi Kingston.
Oh yeah, because you can. But the throwing of the discus is different than a pancake.
But
It's not a
still-
frisbee.
But still, I don't know. I threw discus in high school.
If they had ultimate frisbee in the Olympics, I would definitely take Kofi Kingston because that man can throw a pancake like a missile. So he could cherry pick anyone in ultimate frisbee if that was an Olympic sport, but it's not. So for my number 2 sport, I'm gonna go with water polo, and this one, I don't know. I just have a feeling he'd be really good at it for no other reason. This is just a gut feeling. I think Rusev would be the greatest water polo player on the planet.
Yeah, but he'd be sitting there going, Marco.
Maybe.
He would because he's Rusev. He'd
Yeah.
make a joke out of it.
He might, but he would also be a great
Don't play water polo.
water polo Rusev.
It's Marco Polo.
It's Marco
What's
Polo.
the difference?
Yes, but no, Rusev would be my person for Marco Polo.
Water polo.
Marco Polo.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a good event.
It might be in Rusev's eyes. But yes, let us move on to my third answer.
Where is Rusev?
He is hanging out somewhere.
With Shinsuke?
Maybe with JR. We just don't know. Maybe they're all hanging out together, and we just don't know.
Lucky JR, I guess.
Lucky JR. Let's move on to my third answer, and my third answer will be for gymnastics, and I will do with the floor routine, and I'm going to put Shinsuke Nakamura into the floor routine for gymnastics, because that is one flexible individual, and I bet he can pull off a few flips or cartwheels and things like that, and I mean, he knows how to move to the music, so I think he would be great at a floor routine. So Shinsuke Nakamura is my third and final
I
answer.
can picture him with those ribbons.
Yeah, he could do the ribbon dance too. He could do really good at that. He doesn't even have to change his ring attire. That'd be really good.
Use the same entrance music too.
No, he could do his whole routine to it. See, Diesel gets it. Diesel gets it. Oh. On that note, let us thank the magnificent Matt Willis, who is at the Matt Attack UK, for all 3 of those great questions. But that will wrap up the Mystery Brainbuster of the Week for episode 103. And the bell has rang. I always forget there's a bell. It just comes out of nowhere every time. Sometimes it doesn't ring. Sometimes it takes a little too much time. That will wrap it up, though. As always, thank you so much for sending your questions in. Please keep sending questions in each and every week. Please say your friends, your neighbors, your enemies, your co-workers, anyone else. Send their questions in too. We'll answer them. We'll talk about anything. Because that's what we enjoy doing, is talking about anything and everything. From pro wrestling, to comics, to movies, to food, to our lives, to anything else. We just love talking and answering questions. Just keep sending them in. We thank you so much for them. You can hit me up on Twitter with your questions at ViewFromTopRope. Hit up Diesel on Twitter at
Diesel_VFTR.
Or you can just respond to the wonderful tweet I put out each and every week. And you will be featured on the episode. We promise not to forget about you, unless we do, and then we'll feature on next week's episode. So don't worry, you will always be featured. But that will wrap up the Mystery Brainbuster of the week. So let us move on to our next segment. And that song means it's time for Final Thoughts. Diesel, final thoughts for the evening.
My final thoughts are, it's going to be an eventful weekend for myself. On Friday, I'm going to see Toby Keith at Bree Stevens Field in Madison. It's for the... Chad likes some Toby Keith songs. There's a couple. There's a couple not two.
I know. That's what I said too.
If Chad was being honest with himself, I'm sure there would be 3. But it's going to be a good time. It's for the American Family Insurance, like AmFam Pro Tour or whatever.
Brett Favre will probably be there.
Yep, he's actually playing with
He's
Toby
golfing.
Keith in the celebrity. It's Brett Favre, Toby Keith, Jack Nicklaus, and I'm forgetting the fourth one, but that's a pretty good threesome right there.
Yeah.
And the fourth one is another big name too. But it's slipping my mind right now. But on Friday night or Saturday night, then I'm going to my sister's 21st birthday party, so I'm gonna get trashed and make fun of my brother's girlfriend because that is what he told me he wanted me to do. So that is what I'm going to do.
This is a good brother.
Then I'm rewatching Stranger Things right now to get all caught up for season 3 before the 4th of July when that hits Netflix. And so I'll probably put a dent in that this weekend as well. So yeah, just chill, go to a concert, get drunk, and yeah.
All right, that's some solid final thoughts. My final thoughts for the evening: wrestling's weird right now. I'm really enjoying a lot of parts of wrestling, and Raw and SmackDown were better this week. MLW is absolutely phenomenal. Fortunately, Ring of Honor is kind of floundering in my opinion. New Japan's good, and I'm not caught up on Progress, so I can't tell you right now, but I feel like it's good. NXT and NXT UK are both great, but there's some just really weird, it's like a weird roller coaster right now in wrestling, where there's some weird things happening where it's really good. There's also some really shitty things happening where the fans are trying to take things over, and that's not good. So wrestling right now is really interesting to me. I also just recently saw that Avengers is releasing a new cut for this next weekend where it's going to have like another 6 to 10 minutes of movie scenes in it. So that means that Marvel is going to make another $2 billion on Avengers, which is crazy. It's absolutely insane that Endgame is going to make even more money because I'm going to go pay more money. I'll pay full price to go see another 6 minutes because I love that movie. But I don't have anything else. Well, wedding planning's going great, as I keep updating you. We have picked our caterer, our venue, our DJ, and I'm missing one I feel like we've already picked as well.
Floral?
No, we're working on floral right now. We have a lot of meetings. Weird fact, folks, if you haven't been married and you're planning on getting married, flowers are really expensive.
Not even when you're getting married, just you buy a bouquet, it's really expensive.
Flowers are really expensive.
Trust me, I know I've wasted my money on that a couple times.
Well, I'm in process of, and by I mean my amazing fiance Allison is doing so much work, and she's the most amazing woman on the planet. I love her more than anything. Love you, honey. But she is doing so much work for this right now. But yeah, we're in process of trying to get a florist because it is insane. But that's my end of my final thoughts because I ran on a minute there. Diesel, social media time, so we can get on out of here.
Well, you can follow Chad on Twitter at ViewFromTopRope. Yeah, of course you're going to do that. You follow me on Twitter at diesel_VFTR. Yeah, make a little nice smile. You can follow. We got, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, Periscope. Search View from the Top Rope, and you'll find us on all of those platforms. You can send us email to our Gmail, which is aviewfromtoprope@gmail.com. You can also listen to Visionaries Wrestling Network. Follow Visionaries Wrestling Network on Twitter at VizWrestleNet. You can send in your podcast to be reviewed and added to the Visionaries Wrestling Network by using the email address visionarieswrestlingnetwork@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Visionaries Wrestling Network. Listen to all our great podcasts on all these great platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify. What?
I thought about doing this, but that is way too many names, so I'm not
I
gonna.
thought you were saying that it's not called Apple Podcasts.
No, it definitely is.
I'm like, pretty sure that's what they changed it to. But I'll start over. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher.
So many more.
Potable, Podknife, Shrimpy and something. Like, yeah. Just,
iHeartRadio.
I think I said that, but if I didn't, whatever, iHeartRadio as well. We will just go onto the Google machines and type in Visionaries Wrestling Network, and you will be sure to find us.
You will find all of your favorite podcasts from the Visionaries Wrestling Network, including this one, which is the best one because it's ours. Not to talk down to any of the rest of you, but it's ours, and it's our special place. We love you all, though. But View from the Top Rope. Ayo. But that will wrap up this week's episode of View from the Top Rope, number 103, Summertime Highs. As always, we thank you so much for tuning in to this absolute insanity that we put out each and every week. We are so glad that you have stuck with us through 103 episodes. Please keep tuning in. Please keep sending your questions in. We love them. We want more of them. Make them wacky. Make them whatever you want about it. I mean, literally, anything. We'll talk about it. We're crazy like that. But as always, I have been Chad. He has been Diesel. This has been Zeus's Treehouse. This has been View from the Top Rope. As always, remember to climb up high and enjoy the view from the top rope.